Today we have more agents and technology deployed to secure our southern border than at any time in our history. And over the past 6 years, illegal border crossings have been cut by more than half. Overall, the number of people trying to cross our border illegally is at its lowest level since the 1970s. Those are the facts.
President Obama is saying that he will beef up security at the border, but what has the president done so far? And is it really all just smoke and mirrors? Here to weigh in is John Gihon. He's an immigration attorney and former senior attorney with Immigration and Customs Enforcement, also known as ICE. Thank you so much for joining us so early this morning.
Heather, it's a pleasure to be here.
I want to first start with what we just heard the president saying there. Cut in half, the lowest level since the 1970s. Is that true?
Yes, the number of border crossings may be down, but it's also how you measure that particular statistic. The economy of the United States has gone into a huge downturn after 2007, and so if the jobs aren't here in the construction industry and in the other fields that people come to the United States to work in, then obviously the pull for people to come to the United States to find work is not going to be there. And so for the president to take credit for being able to reduce the number of people crossing the border is completely disingenuous, because it's really a product of our economy going into a downturn at the same time that he took office.
And what about the number of deportations? Also saying that there's been an increase in those, but you also have to take a look closely at those numbers.
That's absolutely right. Charles Krauthammer was on with Bill O'Reilly last night, and he hit it directly on the head. The way that the president counts deportations is completely different than all of his predecessors. There's thousands of people who aren't actually formally deported from the United States, and under past presidents, we didn't count those in the numbers of how many people were deported each year. The president has decided to count those, and so actually the number of people deported from the interior of the United States has gone down tremendously over the last 6 years, but the number of people who are turned around at the border and sent back to Mexico has remaemained about the same, but the president is simply counting those numbers as deportations.
Yeah. Okay, so anything that you heard last night, do you think that this will assist or help keep these numbers down in any way? Will this help stem the flow of border crossings? Anything you heard last night?
Absolutely not. What the president gave us last night is going to create a huge incentive for individuals to come over into the United States. Just like DACA did in 2012, Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals created a huge incentive for Central American and Mexican children to come to the United States. And we saw that influx over the last year in the southwest border. Is the president's actions are creating a pull into the United States for individuals who want to come into the United States and find some form of immigration relief. All they hear is, you can stay here if you get here.
Right, and here's the thing, though. He's saying that this isn't anything that hasn't been done before, specifically to Republican presidents we keep hearing about, President Reagan, President Bush. Take a listen to what the president had to say about that last night.
The actions I'm taking are not only lawful, they're the kinds of actions taken by every single Republican president and every single Democratic president for the past half century. And to those members of Congress who question my authority to make our immigration system work better, or question the wisdom of me acting where Congress has failed, I have one answer: pass a bill.
All right, John, what is the difference?
There's a huge difference, because President Reagan and President Bush 41 both took executive actions to help people with immigration issues, but they did that in conjunction with Congress. Congress, in a bipartisan fashion, signed legislation that each of those presidents put into law, and then those presidents supplemented that legislative action by issuing executive orders. But they did nothing on this type of scale. The amount of people helped combined under President Reagan and President Bush don't reach the 5 million that President Obama purports to help here.
Okay.
Now, these are a lot of deserving individuals, but this is not the way to help them. This is not the way to give them the long-term immigration relief that they may deserve.
All right. Well, John, thank you so much for getting up early for us this morning. The debate will continue throughout the day, no doubt. John Gihon, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, the time is now 20.